Good evening and welcome to High G's on this fine Thursday evening. You're going to have to excuse me tonight if the background's sort of a bit blustery, and you'll need to tell me. You'll need to tell me what the sound is like. I'm kind of, assuming that it's going to be okay, but you need to let us know what the sound is like, because I've moved things around in here. Anyway, there we go, boom. 5 people watching already. 7. Oh, Davey. These numbers are just going to go. I knew you were going to be popular tonight. All right, listen. Tonight, it's my absolute great pleasure. Sound is good. Brilliant. Thank you, dear. It's my pleasure to introduce somebody that I've known, and we'll probably get onto it, I guess, over 30 years now. Can't remember exactly the first point in time that I met him, but it was probably in the Granada or some other hostelry. I can't remember. Maybe you will. I don't. We spent some time, had some great laughs together over the years. I last actually saw him face to face at his own leaving do, his own top table when he was leaving the Royal Air Force. And one thing that probably nobody on here will know that's watching, apart from my guest and myself, is that we actually went to the same school. I think he was about 4 years ahead of me. Anyway, listen, Park Main's massive. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up a big High G's and JFDI podcast welcome to the one and only Mr. Davy Kinnaird. Good evening.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? All right?
I am very well. How are you, mate?
Good. Everything's great. Absolutely brilliant, mate. Stupendous, as they say.
Oh, stupendous.
Stupendous. Sweating cobs right enough, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's no good for us Scottish gingers.
Have you been getting lots of memes like me from people saying, I only stepped out to like put the bins out, and it's like a Scottish ginger guy who's like pink? I've been getting all the time. I've been getting lots of them.
Disney stop, didn't it?
No, I love it. I love it. I've been working hard, but I have been getting a little bit of a get the raise in. I love the weather.
Oh, so mate, I do. I know. I saw it all the time. That was one of my things. Like, do you know what I mean? Just sit there. You remember Ray Winston, Sexy Beast?
Sexy Beast.
Yeah, the budgie smugglers, like, sitting there. Ned Kelly like that. Oh, I can't get enough of it, mate. And it all starts, obviously, a lot of time in with the forces, like, abroad and all that, like, so you get out in the desert and you're just sitting there. Iraq, it was over 100, still sitting out there and getting a wee 10 minutes either side. Brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. So, good times.
And you're keeping well?
I'm keeping very well, yeah. Everything's very good, like, do you know what I mean? It's just good to be back home, do you know, and at the football the other night, so I was one of the first 9,000 that's let back in.
Yeah.
So it was brilliant. Great to be back. So me and my boy, when I first come home, my leaving do was they gave me the money for my season ticket.
That's right. Remember,
It was a lot of money. So I got my boy one as well. Unfortunately, I've been paying it now for the last 5 years. So, but this is his first year. He halved in this year, so he said, I'm going to pay half my season ticket. And I went, good on you. So that was it. We get back in the other day, so the other night. So it was good to be back. So that's that thing me and him do, like, which is brilliant. We go and watch Celtic. So I missed everything last year, which was great.
Did they win?
I don't know. No, I couldn't tell you. I wasn't there. No, it was at Hinglet last year, wasn't it? That was the big failure for 10 in a row. So.
Fantastic!
Goodness we weren't there. Thank goodness we weren't there.
So before we get cracking with the tunes, should we say hello? Sometimes we get stuck into it straight away, but you've got loyal following, Davey. Got it's good so far. That'll be your chat, or maybe the sound, or maybe both.
Is it Vicky? Hey.
We've also got Mr. Hogan in the house.
Good, sir. It was a good night.
We've got Mr. Barlow in the house asking if this episode comes with subtitles.
Oh yes, I take your big Irish shout. We'll talk about Aberdeen. We need to talk about Aberdeen. One of the best days ever.
There we go. Pete Tuckerman, one of the finest right there, isn't he? Just
Peter, Pedro,
Mr. Holmes, Andy.
Saved my life. Andy Holmes saved my life, mate.
Did he?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it. It's one of my songs. No, it wasn't. It was for the other behind me, but he did. And a drunken night in the Falklands. There you go. Pop star.
Oh, mate. There we are. Right. Oh, mate, we could just go on. Who else? We've got Andy here. Evening, Andy.
All right, buddy.
Oh, we've got Gary Homewood saying hello.
Oh, I remember Gary punching me for getting something right on short range.
Right, we're going to do one more. Probably your biggest fan. He's going to sum you up in one word.
You can't beat the Welsh boys for their sense of humour.
Oh, brilliant. Right, we'll come back to them in a little bit. So we're going to talk about music. Well, we'll kick things off with music. I always listen to them. And there was one on the list that I immediately went, really? And then when I listened to it, I went, I see what you've done there. That's a lovely, lovely thing. But we'll come on to it. And people will know what one it is when I say it. But the first one that you've chosen is D-Ream.
Yeah.
And things can only get better. So where did this start getting under your skin?
Obviously, it was at Bucking Light. No, there's loads of tunes at Bucking Light. No, I mean that I remember. Like, no, Groove is in the Heart and all that. Like, no, it just remembers me. All the sort of gear that everybody remember. Pat Malloy's Fifi Malloy. She used to wear sort of mad gear, and that's always remembered me of that song. I don't know, every time I hear that song, it always remembers that. But that one always remembers me of Bucking, because I remember being there and thinking, this isn't for me, and it was time to go. Like, no, and I was like that for years, and that's how that one always remembers me of RF Buck. And I just thought, I can't stick this, and it just no, a bit heavy for the first, I would say 2 to 3 years, but no, you grow into it, don't you? And I think we getting married and being moving into the quarters, not and then the band coming along, everything sort of seemed to sort of level out and become cool. Yeah. And then D-Ream, things can only get better. Big tune at the time as well, wasn't it? Like, no, I mean, it still is. Everybody loves that. Everybody loves that tune. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody loves it. So
I was listening tonight and exactly that. It kind of just builds up quite nice as well.
Love it. It's a cracking tune, an absolute cracking tune.
So you mentioned there about just not thinking it was for you, and kind of sort of going through that. So was there as that song came on and things started to steady out? Was there like a worst time that you remember during that? Is there anything that kind of, or was it just that?
No, it was just the whole thing. Like, no, I don't like people telling me what to do, mate. But so when you're in the force, it's not a good start, is it? Do you know what I mean? And it was just a pain in the and I just felt, no, here I'm a 21-year-old boy, and people going into the fucking bins. What the fuck's going on? And sorry for the language, sorry, like, no, but I was just getting that way. I just thought, this isn't for me, like, you know, and hiding in showers so you didn't need to go in console. and no, you wouldn't know about that, mate. That was a 2-squadron thing. Vicky had to run and drag us all out, so she did. Addison was the worst of all, by the way. Don't like him. But we used to hide in the showers. Pat Penn was actually the worst. He used to hide in the back, so he did. Like he'd first, like, you know. So I was just, I don't know, and then sitting there and writing backwards and all the rest.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, by the way, because as much as say what you will about my out of work activities and antics, I never hid from work when I was actually there. I just had to make it in on time. That was my problem.
Well, see, I enjoyed it as well, mate. I enjoyed doing the work. What was good, like, do you know what I mean? I've always been a worker. That's the only reason I go to where I go to, was because I was a worker. It's not, no, obviously not for brains or anything else, like, no. You could have put my good looks in there, maybe, but just hard work. That's all I had going for me, mate. So
do you think it was just then like that, just a sort of like steadying of the like just sort of finding your way sort of through you?
It's exactly what it was, just the steadying of the ship, like, no, with the bend and then the burn coming along and everything else. Like, no, my lassie's 28 now, so she was 28. Jesus, she's 30 in a couple of years, man. So 28-year-old. So you think back, that's 28 years ago. That's 3 years into my sort of career. So that's what made it all. I think I just sort of calmed it all sort of down, like, no, and you just start, I didn't bother at all. And it was brilliant because Mrs. used to go down the road all the time. So I'd always have a wee weekend, and so always at the piss or else we'd have the cab schools, that, like, you know what I mean? Which was always a good laugh. For a wee trip down the G, or a trip to Aberdeen, Hotel Waller. Remember Hotel Waller?
I do.
I
do.
Chris, his wee band bedroom house, about 7
I
blokes on it.
I never stayed with Chris though.
Did
I
you
always
not?
I always ended up in B&Bs run by like real dodgy people.
Terra Nova.
And that's the one.
There you go. We'll talk about the big Stu's night in the Terra Nova with me, him, and Scouse.
Go on.
Oh, do you want to hear about it now? Aye.
Aye, go on.
I know, I better know, because you've not asked him if it's all right to talk about things. So I better know.
You mentioned Aberdeen earlier on anyway, when we were saying good evening to one of our guests.
Aye, Paddy, that was a good one. That was a good day out into Aberdeen. And maybe get absolutely positive, obviously, as you do, like, you know what I mean? No good story ever starts with we were having an orange juice and a cup of tea, so we're coming back and we were absolutely bloated, and we're on the bus, and we got to the Roxley, and the two of us actually fell off the bus on the flare, like sort of and laughing, and we're pure steaming, and all the boys were going downtown, and they picked us up and put us back in the bus and took us downtown. And honestly, I
think you haven't had enough. Go and give them some more.
Yeah, there they are. There. We found Davey back on the bus. Bush, way back down. I was down to oh mate, murder. There's days I didn't even make it off the camp. Remember we used to have the 4-man room?
Yeah.
In fact, do you remember the time that me and you were there kidding on and we were taking all Paddy's painkillers? Remember lying like, oh, your painkillers, and we're drinking. And he picked up the bottle and he smashed it off the sink. He went, I'm going to kill you two bastards. And then he looked at the bottle and it was intact, and he'd smashed the sink. Big Paddy, yeah. Oh, that's the same night he set his berry on fire and his horns with the lighter fuel and everything else, like, you know what I mean? That was some room, that, by the way. That was some room. That was me. That was me, Paddy, Wayne Jones. So it was. That was some room. That was a belting room. So it was some good nights in there. But sometimes you just go in and obviously dress Malcolm Clark up as a mummy in toilet paper. Malk Gal, we used to love getting dressed up in toilet paper for something. And he'd walk it. And there was times I walked to it, got to the bottom where the guard room is, fell over the bathroom fence, and then took back in. That was it. Night over. That's terrible, isn't it? It's not even funny, is it? It's terrible.
But listen, it was how old were we at the time?
Well, I was 21, so I was a wee bit older, wasn't I? 22.
You actually had no excuse. Paddy's asking you to tell everybody about Stu getting groomed in the 4-man room.
Stu get Did he get groomed? Who was that? Who groomed him? I can't remember that one.
Oh, we should have said. We should have. Do you know what? I wasn't smart enough, Davey. I should have secretly sent Stu and Paddy the link to join us.
I tell you what, mate, honestly.
Actually, if I'd have done that, we would have ended up being on here for about, well, probably all night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, mate, see, some of the stories we still talk about the new, like, do you know what I mean? But that was a cracking room, like, do you know what I mean? That was just mental. It was just mental. I'm trying to remember this story about him being groomed, but I can't remember.
I remember a couple of people flying out that top window on a few occasions as well.
Scousey's rubber doll.
Yes.
Remember we both met for getting up to Saxavord, and we had it tied round the rope and we were swinging it out the window, and across the road was the CEO. I don't know if you remember this. Oh, here. And better not say that one on here as well. Like, but we had a few cans and other stuff, and that. It was brilliant. So it was absolutely brilliant. That's a good day.
What do you remember about the Mickey Mouse Club?
Oh, Mickey Mouse Club, innit? That's infamous, like, man, geez, with the t-shirts and everything, like, no, because we were all just immature, stupid, drunken heads, and everybody, like, they're the Mickey Mouse Club. It was at work, people were calling us at work, weren't they? And it was the Mickey Mouse Club, so we decided to get the Magic Roundabout t-shirts done, and put our names on the back. I'm sure it was you that done it. Was it no you that go to, aye, it was, wasn't it? Aye. And we all get the names on the back, so we did.
Do you remember who was who?
I remember I was Rab C.
And who else was there? There was Paddy, Bully.
Paddy Bull, Stuart,
Pat
Stuart, yourself, Pat Penn, Dids,
and Stu McCann as well.
Oh, aye, Scouse. Yeah, because he was Slimer, wasn't he? He wasn't he? Scouse.
Who was David Icke?
Who was that?
So I'm sure somebody was called David Icke.
It was, wasn't it? Was it?
Yeah, I can't remember who.
Oh, was I not?
What was Paddy? Paddy was Spiffer McGraw.
Spiffer McGraw. Yeah, brilliant one. Gaza, big Gaza. He had one and all, didn't he?
Yes.
Aye, big Gaza.
Crikey. Oh. Anyway, right. I knew that we would do this. Way off on a tangent. A mile. But I mean, how many other stories?
Hundreds.
Just so many.
Nigel's Leaving Do was a good one, I know. That was a good one.
Nigel Bonswell's
Leaving Do. That was a cracker. That was a good night. Do you remember that?
I don't think that I was there.
Aye, you were.
Are you
sure? In the photo booth at the end of the night, getting photos took.
I was where?
And we were in it. Remember the bus station?
Was Nigel's Leaving Do not because he got like a 7-day posting?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. I just knew we were all in Aberdeen, and me and you were in the wee we were all in the photo booth, and it ended up with me and you in this wee photo booth in Aberdeen bus station. And this hon came in and grabbed me by the neck and choked me. Do you remember? Rick Brown, big Rick Brown. He's a lovely guy, and he just didn't like me. So I'm like, fucking, what you doing? And he was massive. He would have killed me. Like, I wasn't backing down, was I? Like, no, stupid he as usual. I remember about the banana boat. That was another Aberdeen night.
I wasn't even going to ask you about that. What do you remember about that banana?
I remember every bit of it, mate. I remember every bit of it. We came out the one down the street, went into the pub. I'll remember it on a minute. We walks in. There was me, you, Paddy, and I think it was Gogs. This is no. Hold on. This is the one. This isn't the one when Stu turned after Lecky. Remember when Stu? Sorry.
Wasn't Cafe Easy, was it?
No, it wasn't Cafe Easties. Cafe Easties was running Union Street that minute, where Zigzags and all that was. No, it was something else. We goes in, this is another night because it was one when Stu turned after Lecky in the pub because he wouldn't give him something. I don't forget what it was. But anyway, this was when we were sitting talking to all these people and all the rest of stuff. And the guy bouncer came up to me and says, "You out." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "No, honestly, no, I hadn't done anything." And I'm like, "I've not done fuck all, mate." He's like, "You know what you've done, get fucking out." And I says, "Well, I'm drinking my pint." I says, "Because I've not done anything." I says, "If you tell me what I've done, then no bother." And he's like, "You know what you've fucking done, get out and all this." And then the waitress comes behind him and says, "What are you shouting at him for?" He says, "It wasn't him." He says, "It was him and you're sitting there with your pint like that, looking at it." And I went, "You little shite." And what you'd done is stuck your finger in somebody's, you went, "Oh, that looks nice," into the pudding and stuff. And I went like, and I remember turning to you and going like, "See you later." And then I says, "Thanks." I says, "I'll accept your apology, big man. You're still going it." And then before I know it, he dragged me on the table and pulled me down the stairs, and I was getting pulled out backwards and everything else. And Paddy came to my rescue because he was walking out pointing at me laughing. Honours, big man.
So I'd already been kicked out by this point, but you got kicked out for being cheeky.
I get thrown out. You out. I get, in fact, dragged out. People looking at me going, "Look at that, he's a thug. Glasgow thug, that boy." It was a wee bit off cut, but it wasn't that bad, like, do you know what I mean? So that was that one. And then the one with Stu with the Lecky and all that as well. A lot of stories for Aberdeen. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant place.
Lovely place. And it was that time. That time, wasn't it? Early 90s as well.
Oh.
All the music, all, like you say, Dafties.
Aye. And do you know, you wish you'd kept, that's one of my things, I wish I'd have kept a diary. I know that's a wee bit of a girl's blouse thing, like, no. But see if you could just look back and actually write down. See, you just said there when we first met. I think it might have been Lenny's Leaving Do. Maybe. Because I just got there for that, like, do you know what I mean? I was just there for Lenny's when I met Lenny. And I'd run about that time anyway, like, do you know what I mean? So, it was to look back and say, I can tell you when it was. Do you remember that night? And remember this? No, and the swimming. No, remember you all get caught in the swimming? That was funny, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Imagine, I know, being brought home from the swimming pool by the RAF police, honestly. for, for, for making silly noises in the swimming pool and saying Mickey Mouse, and like those silly noises. I'll tell you those noises. You know the one that Scouse used to do, and Pat.
Meow, no, that way.
The swimming
pool.
Remember,
what was his name? I remember Scouse waiting to get into work one day, and he was done it, so he got, and he used to have his bed in with it, never. He used to come straight like that. He was going, no, like, and he went, and I forget who it was, turned round and grabbed him, man. It was caught, I forget his name, Richie Marshall, and threw him up like this. She's like, I'm in bed up, you shut up. So he's like, so he went like, and he sort of put him down, calm down. He's like, fucking, so he's like, fucking calm down. And when he walked through, the turnstile, Scouse was like, another side, God, he stomach, man. Honestly, that's the sort of shit that they used to love, like, you know. And Big Stu, I remember one time like that, he's late because he'd slept in, like, no, we're waiting, we're going, right, bus is coming now, chapped his door. Mate, you're late, the bus is here in 5 minutes. And we're all sitting in the bus, up the back of the bus, and he's running at these Jacobs. You know, I think a lot of bad raps at that time, but it was all just laughs, no, it was just boys having a laugh. Do you know what I mean? They happened to everybody. Never.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though. It was, you know, I think a bit of a culture shock, though, because there was no harm in anything, but it was a bit of a culture shock from like the discipline perspective. And like you say, you know, that sort of being told being told what to do and not liking it. And then, but the difference between, you know, being told what to do and not liking it and then not doing it, but having to then suffer the consequences.
And that's the things. You don't get that so much. Well, just before I left, like, you know, you never had there's a few characters like, no, but anybody done anything, no, he farted in the crew and people were like, oh, Jesus Christ, oh, geez, no, career stoppers, no, it wasn't, in our day, it wasn't a career stopper, it was one of the things of growing up and you moved on and everybody was all right, like, no. That was the days when assessments were like, no, SEC Kinnaird a fat guy for Glasgow, and you go, oh, cheers, aye. My hair changed colour. Three reports.
So when you left, there was no handcuffing people to crew room railings or like taping people to like coffee tables.
It depends who you. I used to. He saved my whole thing when I went down to one act. I was supposed to do it one act as a warrant officer, like, you know. So warrant officer ops at one act, and at the same time, Cal Tranter was posted doing his flight sergeant ops. So he was the guy one of the best guys I've ever worked with, and I really mean that. In the laughs we used to have in the car, and he's driving so bad, like, do you know what I mean? So bad, but we used to laugh there and back every time. 2.5 hours just laugh at work, laugh out for beers, nothing else. It was great, and he sort of saved me there, but I couldn't. I can't stop winding people. I still kept it all the way through, no, just winding people up. So even as warrant officer ops, I used to hide behind doors and wait for people to go past and go, woo! And people were like, what are you doing? And I used to do to Cal all the time, like, do you know what I mean? And I remember walking into senior Enso's crew room one day. I know, trying to be all serious and professional, obviously. And I walked in and he was like, yeah, right, so aye. I says, where's Cal? He says, oh, he's having a brief. I went, another one? He went, aye. I went, oh, I'll tell you what. So I shut the door and hid behind it because he's coming. And he's coming. He walks in and he's just about to shut the door and he went, oh, hold on a minute. So he walks away and I opens the door and I'm like, I'll get him in a minute, right? And I'm sitting there. And then he comes in, he opens the door and I goes, whoa, you bastard. And he jumped to his skin and everybody's all laughing. He's like, you're a dick, you're a dick. And I went, I can't know, mate, I can't help it, like, you know. So that happens. So I'm telling this exact same story to Pete Tuckerman
Right.
in my office. And I goes behind the door to show him what I'd done. And guess who walked in? Cal. Oh, well. Oh, that was him done. But he's like, he's like, I'm finished with you. And he walked out in a big bad mood, like, you know. But I got my coffee and he was all right. I got my coffee.
Oh, brilliant. I love it. Listen, let's move on to your second song, because what I loved about when you sent me your songs was that there's like a little, I've got a rough idea of, you know, where or what sort of period in time the story's coming from. And the next song did amaze me, and will probably amaze a few people on here. But I'm interested to hear the background with Baddiel and Skinner's Three Lions being this Scotsman's choice for his song number 2.
Well, again, that's just Bulmer. That's when I first got posted to Bulmer, and we lived in Amble. We were living out in ERS, and we got a house in Amble. And Big Stu, when he moved in, he was just around the corner for us, like, you know. So we were in the house. So I was just in there, and I'm watching 1996, watching Scotland, England, and it's the infamous Gaza goal on it. And I can always, and every time I hear the song anyway, it is one of these songs that when somebody plays it, you're always singing it, even as you can't stop. And it just reminds me of my beginning at Bulmer. And I actually spent must have spent about 15, 16 years of my career. Both my kids were born there and everything, like, do you know what I mean? And well, sorry, my boy was born in the North East, like, no, so my lassie was born in Aberdeen, so my boy was down there. And we were there for 16 years. Both of them went through their whole school in there and everything. So it's quite a major part, but that was the beginning. And I was sitting watching the Scotland-England game, and they missed the penalty, and I was like, yeah. And the windies are open, because it was beautiful. If you remember, it was a scorcher of a day. And I remember Gary gets the ball, and the ball comes on, he flicks it over Henry Sheed, and he bangs it into the back. And he was a Rangers man and all, wasn't he? And I remember jumping up, yeah, Geordie, fucker, and I'm shouting. And here's me living in the North East, with the windies open, and I'm shouting, you're Geordie, fucking, you're dirty. So I didn't go down too well with Mrs. K. And so I always remember, so that's what that song always brings back, like the Bulmer sort of memories, like, do you know what I mean? So there we go, Hammy. So there was a lot of good memories down there, mate. There was a lot of good memories down there as well, like, no. So they made me an instructor as well, if you can believe that. A trade instructor.
What would you say is that aside, like, you know, like a standout moment from Bulmer? How many tours did you do at Bulmer then?
Well, so I was in Sims downstairs. I was doing the R3 and the links. Then I got promoted up to Sims. I was only there for 6 months, but I managed to meet what do you call it, guys, right, big fat shite for the first time. So that was the highlights of being in the Sims section, and a lot of good lads there. And Jez Lawton, who's obviously a lifetime pal, like, do you know what I mean? One of the best in the world, by the way, Jez Lawton. And the laughs we had. And then whilst I was there, I went down to the bunker. The basic trade training. So I was basic ASOP instructor. And I remember Bob Peebles?
Yes.
Aye. So he came in and said to me, says, we want you to go downstairs and be an instructor. I went, I says, it's not for me. Tell a wee bit of a boy, like, you know. And I says, with my accent, I says, nobody will understand me. I says, no, I've not done enough time. He says, don't you worry about that. He says, your accent will drop. Because Bob was Scottish as well. He says, you'll be all right in everything else. And I went, nah. I says, nah, it's not for me. And he went, okay then. He says, well, whatever happens, he says, we'll get you down there and we'll do this and that. So what he was saying is, well, whether you want to, I know you've been fucking done. But it was the best, brilliant time, because Jez ended up coming down there as well, like, do you know what I mean? And the laughs we used to have in that, absolute, honestly, it was brilliant. And, you know, in this day and age of D&I and being politically correct and all that, like, do you know what I mean? The days were just, honestly, some of the things that we used to get up to, it was just, but good, having good laughs. But it never came across. If you were to date new people, would probably go, but it was good. So I don't know what the defining thing is, but Bulmer, man, I don't know.
Well, here's another question. Here's another one. Whether it was at Bulmer, but I guess going instructor at that point in time, I've got a question down here. So it might be at Bulmer, it might not be. But I'm thinking, what is the best bit of advice that anyone's ever given you?
Remember Jim Taylor? Like, lots of advice, like, do you know what I mean? A lot of advice, Jim Taylor. And obviously quite a sort of passionate guy, as I was. And he used to always look at me and push his glasses up his nose and say, Kinnaird, take the emotion out of it. And that's all he ever used to say to me. Take the emotion out of it. And it just used to sort of come. And never a true word. Take the emotion out of it. And you take the emotion out of it and just deal with facts. And that I would say, as I was always going through, by the time I'd done that with Jim, I was a sergeant, definitely, you know. I think that was the best bit of it. Take the emotion out of it, Kinnaird, take the emotion out of it. But there's so many things, like, you know, I look back at a lot of things, a lot of people have told me that the influences, like, you know, and I know she's there now. I did that at my top table, like, you know, and Vicky and Coral, do you know what I mean? Coral was brilliant. She was the sergeant, basic instructor when I was there. Jim Taylor, no, just all these sort of heavy fucking top guys, like, do you know what I mean? Ian Schofield, people like that, just brilliant. And I suppose if you're looking for for everybody, like, do you know what I mean? It was 9/11, wasn't it? And I had just been posted up to Lanark, and we were going out to Oman, and I had just been, I'd only been there a couple of weeks, packed my bag up. And the first day I was there, Ginge Crayford, and I drove him to Newcastle. I can always remember it. Drove him to Newcastle Airport, and he had my sort of interview with him in the car, and he was like, right, no bother, great, and everything else. So he got off, and as I was travelling back home, Steve Wright come on the radio and says, apparently there's an aircraft just flown into the side of the UN towers. So that's, and you're like, wow. And so that defined for me, obviously, the next 7-8 years, because I ended up doing 6 months away every year, just about, no including all the other stuff that was all bolted onto that, but I was away all the time, just all the time. And it started with Oman, and then Cyprus 12 times, Iraq, Afghanistan twice, Iraq twice. So it started after that sort of effect to me being away all the time. So,
right.
So that would probably be a sort of defining moment.
How many times do you know how many times you were away in total?
Oh, mate, honest. It ended up I think in total, if I look at my, it's about, and this is just times, no, my sort of like LSA. This isn't a year, 2 weeks here, 1 week there. I think I ended up doing about 1,500 days.
Yeah.
So I did before I left. But that was on that for that period for 9/11, just to as I left, like, do you know what I mean? I must have taken up about 1,500 days away. So I did it. So it's on your paycheck. It comes through on your paycheck. So it's about 1,500, just shy of 1,500 days. So there's a lot of times.
That must get hard, mate. Like with a sort of, you know, with a young family as you started that must have got hard.
No, mate. See, I swear to God, see if your home plate's all right. You're cool. Do you know what I mean? So my home plate was all right. It was strong enough, and you just go away and you go and date. Like, so it's harder for them than it is for you, because I'm away places like sometimes in Cyprus and all the rest of stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? Where you're on a mountainside, you do a wee bit of work during the week, and then like Friday, go bush. You're away down to the boat, and you're away into Limassol. You're out, you're lying on the beach, like, no, getting harpooned.
Yeah.
and just sit, sexy beast. And go swimming, go for drinks, go and eat, and everything else. So a lot of the time away, like, you know, but it was, you didn't think about it. It was more for the people back home, I think, like, you know. So, but it was good. It was, no, the times away were good. Like,
there wasn't any time away where you were like, I don't want to go. You were kind of quite right, happy to go.
No, it becomes a drug. I swear to God, it becomes a drug, because I had in the beginnings of that, the faults, which is we'll talk about next, is the next song, like, do you know what I mean? But all that time that I spent away, like, do you know what I mean? It becomes a drug. So you've done it once, you might do it again. You might do it again. You were all over the place. I've done some amazing things, mate, that I would have never ever done, like, do you know, been to places I've never been to, seen things I've never, people shouldn't really see, like, do you know what I mean? And everything else, and it was great. It was just absolutely fantastic. Sitting on airplanes where you weren't supposed to be on, and it's all right, mate, just to jump on this, and I'm like, you sure? I just you're all right. Come on, we're going to Basel. Sorry, you can just stay on. And you're like, oh, right, I ain't bother, mate. And you're sitting at Squadron 2, I'm sitting on a plane myself with these guys on a C-17 and into Basra, because I was going between Afghanistan and Iraq. And it says, just you stay on. I says, mate, I'm supposed to, because I was in the Al Udeid, nice called Al Disney, because it was an American base, so it had loads of swimming pools and gym kit. It was brilliant. It was absolutely phenomenal. Like, when the food was top notch. And I thought, I want my 2 days here lying in the sun, sexy beast, do you know? And the guy's like, no, just stay on, they'll take you to Basel. But the loadie just wanted me to help him with the tracks and all that for when he got there. And I got off, and all the loadie, who are you? I'm Kinnaird. I work with the counter rocket guys, and I right, no bother at all. And you'll need to come up in the morning and get us. I will, mate. So I was actually in Basel that night. So if anything happened to me that night, I shouldn't have been there. I should not have been there. But stuff like that, like, do you know what I mean? It was mental. Some of the stuff, honestly, man. I remember going to one night, we were in Afghanistan up at Camp Bastion, and I flew into there, and it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and he says it's 2-3 years before your flight. So I went up to where the compound was, like, and I pressed the button, I can help you. I just wanted to find the guys are there. I was chatting to somebody's all your pals. And the guy came in, it was Tim Claridge. It was on nights that night, and he went, where are you fucking? I says, I'm just passing through, mate. I said, I've just been doing a last cigar, and I thought I'd come in and say hello, see if any of the boys were in. So it was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? You just all over the world. It was amazing. It was good times, really good times.
There you go. Hammy, only Kinnaird goes out for a walk and ends up in Basra.
Yeah, you're right. I'm telling you, Hammy. 8 months I've done there. 8 months in total at Basra. So it was with the army as well. But it was good.
Yeah.
It was crack and laugh, like, do you know what I mean? And that whole year, I started off in Sweden.
Yeah.
I just came back to Iraq, and I was only back 6 months, and then I was back out again. Back to Afghanistan, and then I done 3 weeks in Sweden, which was a fucking hoot. Then I went on to El Paso, in the Mexican border. I went there for 2 weeks. We done 2 weeks there. Then we travelled back to Canada and all the rest of the places. Came back, done all our World Cup training, doing it led and all the rest of stuff, all the army stuff, like, do you know what I mean? I'll tell you, I'm not going to bore you with that story. That's chilly. I gave him the shitters, man, in front of all these guys, all these army guys. I'm going to tell you, they were doing the. They say, we're going to get the car comes in, so they get guys like, Middle East guys, like, do you know what I mean, all dressed up and that. And they drive around the car, we need to search the car. And Chilly's like, so they picked me and Chilly, and Chilly's like, oh, fuck's sakes, he's doing a scouse, and fuck's. And I mean, this sort of you says, I hate doing this sort of stuff. But the whole battery was out, they were all watching us, not the officer, and I'm going, yeah. So they comes down and he says, right, so do underneath the vehicle, and something's going to happen, like, do you know? So I said, I'll do the outside, you do the inside. So I did the outside and everything else. And Chilly's there, like, and he opens up the boot, and he's looking in the boot, and there's a and he goes in, and he pulls back, and I ran up in front of him, and he goes, boom! Mate, he fucking shot himself, honestly. And I'm howling, and loads of people are all howling, and you can see all the officers all standing looking, and I'm like, I says, you fucking shot it now. He's like, you're right. And so he's shooting me, you're right, Dick. I said, I can't believe you shot it. And in front of, like, there must have been a good 100 people there, like, do you know what I mean? All taking it dead serious, and that was it. So, but it was see the laugh, like, do you know what I mean? So that's what I came back through there, back home for a couple of weeks, then out to Kuwait, a couple of weeks in Kuwait, then into Iraq, and I was there for 7 months. So we went between Iraq and Afghanistan for 7 months because of the job I was doing.
Yeah.
And then home, and that was it. So I got home for Christmas. So it all started during about February, and I got home for Christmas. So, but it was a good year, mate. It was a good year. So it was.
Right. Wow. Busy year.
It was busy, but it was brilliant, mate. It was. Do you know what it is? It's one of the things you look back on very fondly. I know you miss everybody, but do you know you look back fondly in the mates that you meet, that you make whilst you're there. Do you know what I mean? Army pals, and there was only 6 RAF. It was brilliant.
Memories, experiences, stuff that, if you hadn't chosen that career would never have happened, and certainly not in that sequence of events, and certainly not just ending up in Basra. Unbelievable. So should we move on to your next song? I love this song. Absolutely love this song. And I think we might be back further afield on your travels with this one. So you've chosen Elvis in the Ghetto.
In the Ghetto, aye. So we used to listen to Elvis quite a lot in the bar. Who was there at the time? Big Eddie Bud, me, Eddie Bud, and I'll talk to you about the next guy in a wee minute. I'll give him a very big
This was in the Falklands, right?
Aye, Mount Alice, 1998. And we had a right good crew there, mate. It was absolutely brilliant. Like, and I got there and I says, I'm not going to do what I done down in Byron Heights, and Andy will tell you, like, because that's where we were the girl. I'll tell you the story about us two in a minute. And I thought, I'm not going to go down there and just be the fittest alcoholic in the world, like, because all you do is drink and then go to the gym, drink. So I says, I'm just gymming it, going to go and enjoy it and everything else. But everybody's there, and they're Scotty Roundtree, coming in for a wee drink. No, right. And I've done it for 4 weeks. And then he says, you need to do bar for a week. And that was a start. That was me. Once I started doing the bar, and people putting it in front of you, and that was me steaming every night. So, but I done well for 4 weeks. Big Pebs was there, and all Big Pebberdy.
Yes.
Aye, and we had a brilliant time. And that song reminds me, because it was Lisa Venables that always remembered. She always says every time she hears that song, it reminds me of her. It reminds her of me. And I was sitting with my boy was born when I was there, so. Right. So 1998, and I remember I shared the room with the late great Daz Hucknall. So he was my wee room buddy, like, love him to death, and I sorely miss him. So we Huckleberry, I used to call him Fuckleberry Finn, And he was in the room with us, like, do you know what I mean? I used to take a shout at him so badly and all, like, you know. And I loved every minute of it. And I just remember sitting watching the telly, and he came in with his wee house coat, and he had this wee house coat, his slippers and that. He's like, Dave, I'm out. He says, the missus is on the phone, And I went away in, and the rest of it says, you've got a boy and everything else. I was like, that's fantastic. And I went into the bar, and all the people that were still there, Lisa and then all this, and I says, it's a boy, and they're like, oh, so we get a big cigar, and we get drunk, and that was it, like, do you know what I mean? So it was really, really good. And we played Elvis, because we always had Elvis on, and that was a song, like, do you know what I mean? And she always brings it up. So it always reminds me of that sort of time, like, do you know what I mean? And then it wasn't a case needed you go home or anything else, like, no. By the time I came home, he was 3 weeks old. So that always reminds me. So it always reminds me of time when he was there. But the one in Byron Heights was doing the every homes, and we had a brilliant time, like, with brilliant Gary Rickwood and all that, like, you know, we had some crank guys, Big Grimsey and all the rest. And it was one night we had an Italian night, and everybody went to us. So I went as Gaza. Gaza's got quite a lot to do with me, by the way. So Harold, I used to have the curtains in the day, didn't we? The curtains, so the hair was always back. I had a ball, and I think it was an inter Milan tap, like, doing all that. And again, drink again, get drunk. And Andy was outside going, I think it was for a zook or whatever, like, no. And it was like foggy, freezing cold, and everything else. And I said, I said, I'm busting for a piss. So instead of just coming in to use the toilet, I've been doing into the ISOs and done a piss in the ISOs and fell asleep. Because that's my other thing, like, falling asleep everywhere. And that was my name in the Falcon. Shaggy sleeps after drinking everything. And I went and fell asleep between the ISOs. And they couldn't find me. They had to get the OC out of his bed and with torches. No? Kinnaird. And there was Andy that alerted him and says, he's out there and it's fucking -5 or something, like, you know, in my shorts. And they found me, I was fucking blue. They got me in, and we Rudy Pierre, the wee meditate time, all warm. I think they had a night watch on me that night to make sure I didn't fucking croak it.
How long had you been out there for?
Oh, I don't know. You need to ask Andy. I was pissed.
Oh, David.
No, mate. Mate, I've got a few of them, but I won't bore you with them. But that was it. So that's that song. It was good, and that was a good time there. But as I say, a big shout out to wee Daz. And I remember the day before he went in, his coma, he just left us at Warnock, and he took up his job doing at 49, and he heard that he wasn't feeling too good and all the rest of stuff, and that they were going to put him in an induced coma. And I texted him that day, and I says, you'll do anything to get a fucking detachment, you wee shite. And he came back and he says, no bother and all the rest. I says, right, anything that you need, no, you just let us know in the meantime and tell them if she's where we are and everything else. And that was it. And that's the last contact I ever had with him. It was only a couple of days after that he passed. So, you know what I mean? God bless him.
Oh, I know. Mate, too many. Way, too many left now. Too many gone.
It's not right,
you know, it's and it's okay. You know, it's one of the reasons that, you know, I started doing all of this. It's like, you know, it's, you know, a community at that time, and we could sit and talk as I have with other people about some of these times with so many people. As my daughter keeps telling me, old man, none of us are getting any younger, right?
Oh,
so
damn tootin'.
Exactly. Damn tootin'. I've not heard that for a while.
So that was a good old Falklands, like, do you know what I mean? But both tours doing there, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. So
would you like to, because you mentioned a name there, it feels timely to make a small announcement, because a number of people have asked, and I've done a few sort of live pleas to folk to encourage some of our female viewers to think about come on and sharing some stories with us. And I have asked so many people, and the only female that has agreed to come on was my daughter, who did a wonderful sort of 45 minutes with me here in High G's. However, world exclusive, and you've already mentioned her name.
Go on.
I got somebody to agree to come on and have a chat with me on the JFDI podcast. We recorded it last week, and it is ready to go. And I had no idea that you were going to mention her name tonight. So you already know who that person is. You mentioned her about 5 minutes ago.
So there was Lisa.
That's it.
Lisa Venable. Oh, fantastic, mate. Good honour. Oh, that's brilliant. Aye.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So
the way from Australia.
Sorry?
All the way from Australia.
Yes, which is why we had to record it. But I had a great chat with her, so everybody knows now. There we go. A nice wee way to break it during the story and the Elvis Presley in the ghetto times.
Good lassie. So she's fantastic.
Yeah, so we'll get that on. So anyway, let's move on to your next song, because I listened to this one tonight as well. I listened to them all. I listened to them all as I'm getting ready. It kind of, you know, I wonder about where the stories might come from. I'm never right. It's, but this one, listening to the words and seeing what you put above it, I was like, crikey, I'm very interested to hear, you know, about Gary or Michael Andrews featuring Gary Jules' version of the Tears for Fears song, Mad World.
Love it. It's a cracking song. It's just, but it just again, it round about that time again is when round about the Iraqs and all the rest of stuff, and it just sort of encompasses everything, doesn't it? It just sort of says it's a mad world, and you know, as I say, some of the things out there, you woke up every day and there was something else happening. Do you know what I mean? There's, did you hear? There's a boy just down the road there's just taking his own life, like, do you know what I mean? Just shot himself, and you know, young boys and all the rest. Or else you'd be sitting and it'd be a Sunday morning and you'd be like, you walk in and say, where's all the cleaners? And that was it. That was your indicator. All the cleaners are, put your helmet on. 2 minutes later, kaboom! And that's it, because everybody knew when they were coming in, like, the rockets, that, like, no?
Right.
That was one of your indicators and all that. It was just mental. It was just mental stuff happening all the time. And everywhere you go, no, I mean, things fucking blowing up. And you're just sitting looking about and you're going, man, the world was just mad, like, do you know what I mean? Especially for us, all over the place, like, do you know what I mean? We were relatively, you know, when you think about, we done a incubate, they've got a city, or a town, sorry, that's staged, where you go in and you do your patrols and all that, like, so it's because we were there with the army, we had to do this sort of patrolling type thing. So you put all the gear on, it's like, fucking hell, so it's like, and they think about it now, like, no, this was like high 30s, 40s, all the gear on. When you walk in, you go through the place, and they've got cars, it's full of people. It's like really realistic, like, do you know what I mean? And I just remember the story there too, man. And we're going through this town, and it just brings in the realism about what these guys go through. No, I was relatively lucky. I just used to nip about Basra, do you know what I mean? And go around these counter rocket stuff and all that, and sit there and operate all that, like, do you know what I mean? And talk to all the sort of guys within the compounds. So it's quite a fortunate place, really. And it was all sort of good and as safe as it can be where you are. And but this sort of brought it home about what these guys said. You know, the guys that were getting in their vehicles and going out there and actually doing a job, and they had the whole IED thing to look at to contend with as well. And it was fucking murder. I mean, we done ours, we were shite, like, you know, obviously, because we weren't there to do that. And I remember all the Iraqis, like, you're supposed to keep them back, like, you know, so it was obviously Kuwaitis, and they're all coming round about you, and you have to go back, mate, go back, and they know the accents. And one of them turned to me and goes, Scotland, 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 and he starts going like, whiskey, 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 and it was no doubt. I went, well, go on then, but don't tell my boss. But they're all quite good. And they all went, ah! And then hundreds of them all started killing. I was like, oh, shite, man, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to be serious here, you fuckers. Go on, beat me. And then they get back, and the instructors will come in and they'll well, how do you think that went? And I thought, I'm the one that fucked it up, like, and I says, pretty shite, wasn't it, mate? They went, aye. And I says, look, pal, I says, I'm not trying to be funny about this, but I says, see if I'm out there doing that for real. I says, you're in the fucking shit. I says, if you're asking me to do that for real. And I says, that's just it. And the guy looked at me and went, that's a fair call, mate. That's a fair call. I went, right, mate, well, I'll just clean my gat and get to fuck. Like, well, thanks very much.
You go and do your own job.
You go and you shoot things or that, like, you know, I'm just here to hang you about the radar. So it was, but again, just the song, Mad World, and then the Afghans and everything. I remember Big Mac. So see this Kuwaiti side, it was like it was American, a lot of American stuff in it, and they had the Humvee, and they had it on the big pivots and all that, as if you get blown up, and it rolls. The thing rolls, not it's on a big fucking and it rolls. Big Paul McKinnon, Big Mac, I love him, man. Fucking roll. And Big Mac, and he's rolling out, he's got a big builder's arse and everything. And all these young, they're all laughing and all that. Like, and they stood up and they see his big badge, like, they're all like, oh, sorry, sir. They see the Platinum rolling out this fucking Humvee, mate. Honestly, I've never laughed so much in my life. And the army boys, they're stupid, like, you know what I mean? I mean that with the greatest respect. They just don't think sometimes, like, do you know what I mean? But I just which was good for me because they made me look pretty clever, which was good. Shows you how bad they were if you look at me, look pretty clever, like, you know what I mean? But we had the best of times. Brilliant. It was really good, and it was just mad. And then I told you the one about on the plane and going places. I was picturing up places, and people are going, "Who the fuck are you?" And then I said I was sighting in Lashkagar. And the only place I could think of putting, because it was for guns as well, and the only place I could think where they could put the radar and the gun on it was in their volleyball court. And the guy says, "It's no fucking going there, mate." He says, "You can forget about it." He says, that's the only thing that keeps us going. And that was their R&R type thing in the whole place. He says, that is it. And Ian Gillis was there. Remember Ian Gillis?
Yeah.
He was the heli ops guy. And he says, "Nah, they won't let you put anything on the thing." I said, "It's to save the life." He went, "Nah, they won't let you." Volleyball comes first. That's God's honest truth. Fucking mad world. They just didn't care. And they never did put it there. That was it. They just left it the way it was at Lash. And there you go. Fucking crazy, mate, honestly. And I say it was good times. And I was there the first time was in Iraq was we won it, like, do you know what I mean? And that was us. We were up at a place, I can't even remember the name of it now. Talil. So I think at the time, the most northerly people in Talil, like, do you know what I mean? So that was all right. I was only really there for just 4 weeks, Christmas and New Year, because Hamer, where is he? Dodgy guns, damn tooting, hammy. Hamer, he had to come home. He said, no, Nick had done his time, so I had to go and take him off. I was like, fuck's sake. So I'd spent 7 months away that year, and then I had to go and they sent me out for 3 months, but I only done a month, so that worked out all right. But it was all Christmas and New Year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, and then on New Year's Eve, we were sitting in we got a couple of cans of beer, Jamie Bennis and all that, like, you know, we got a couple of beers into the thing, and the phone goes, and it was the OC, and he goes like, he says, "Who's this?" And I says, "It's Sergeant Kinnaird." I went, "Who's this?" And he went like, he says, "It's the boss." I went, "Oh, right, sorry, it's a big kind of day for you." And he goes like, he says, "Turn the radar off, we're done." And I went like, "Fuck off, you're at it. That's not the boss." I says, "Who the fuck's this?" And I was doing. He went, "No, honest, it's the boss." And then Gordon Wilson, Warrant Officer Gordon, came out, "Turn the fucking radar off, rightly, boss." And that was it. That was us finished, and everything else. And it was up to all the guys. I was lucky enough because I had done that much time away that year. I got flown back quite sharpish. They had me out of there within 4 days, which was really good. And everybody else to drive the kit. A lot of the guys had to drive the kit. Me, little Gabba, my wee pal Gabba, and everybody else had to drive all the kit back down to Baz Report and everything. So it was good. It was a good time there as well. It was a cracking laugh there as well. Like, do you know what I mean? With the Americans and some of the lots of good stories, but too many to get in, honestly, pal. But some of the laughs we had there as well was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. Sitting having a wee zoot one day, me and Matt McKee, and these big trucks start coming in. I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And it was Pizza Hut and Burger King. I'm like, "What the fuck?" Opened up the shutters, fryers and all the rest. I went, "What's that?" No, they get burger vans and all that on. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen it like that. What the fuck? Me and my girl, it just, you know what I mean? It just messes with your brain, doesn't it? You're like, fucking hell, man! Just never seen anything like it. So, aye. But that was a good wee place. That was good. Like, do you know what I mean?
Do you know what amazes me is that, you know, the potential for clearly, you know, of all these detachments and everything that you've seen, that you managed to put such a positive spin on that. You know, you've got such good memories and the rest experiences. It's all kind of chalked up to, you know, right, I've learned from it, we've done this, that, and the other. Such a, you know, such a positive outlook on life, mate, in general.
You need to make some people out there. We used to the beds were called coffins. I don't know if anybody's there that knew that used to that been out there at that time. I know Big Paddy done the first call for, I think maybe Andy, maybe I know, but and Hammy and that, but they had the beds were called coffins, and it was reinforced concrete, and that's a humour, that's military humour, isn't it? That's your coffin, mate. And it had sheet metal on the top, and you just crawled in and everything else, and that's where you slept, and it had a wee shitey, you know, the wee thin mattress thing on it, like, when you had all your kit, everything, your life was in there. Your whole fucking life was in that wee bit, in your coffin. But it was good, not good protection, and the only way you're dying is if the rocket hits like right within your vicinity. If not anywhere else, then you're all right. And that's what they were for, like, you know. So it was quite a sort of safe. But people used to go to their beds with their helmets and their body armour on. They were that sort of petrified. Body armour. And everybody's got a different way in it. Like, you know, my way is just you laugh through it and have a good laugh, and you've got more chance of getting knocked down with a car than you ever getting blown up with a rocket. So why worry about it?
What a brilliant outlook, mate.
Well, that's it.
I know. Listen. You don't come across now as somebody that looks back and has any regrets. But here's a question for you. But if you could, similar to what I asked you earlier on, if you could offer 16-year-old Davy a bit of advice, or just go back and speak to him, what would you say to him?
Drink more. Mate, I don't think there's anything. The best thing I ever done in my life was join the Air Force. There's no three ways about it. The best thing I ever done was join the Royal Air Force, and the best thing I done whilst I was in the Air Force is leave when I did. And I don't miss it at all. Can I just show everybody? Look at that. Look, Vicky, you'd be proud of that. Not just the V, not just the VD Watch V. I done the sleeves and everything. Long sleeve shirts tomorrow. What's that all about? And so there's two things. No, join it when you did, and I left it when I did. I left it when I still loved it. So I left before I started resenting the people at the top, because by that time you're sitting at the tables listening to wing commanders and all that talk about how they're just pushing their own agendas and their promotions, and we all know that goes on. Do you know? But actually seeing it first thing, and I just thought it started sort of clawing and everything else, like, you know, fix, and it just didn't sit right with me. And I felt as if I was just arguing all the fucking time, like, do you know what I mean? Arguing, and I just thought I don't need this in my life, like, you know. So I've enjoyed it. Time to go, and then at that point, that sort of last 3-4 years, I've done some brilliant stuff, like, do you know what I mean? Some really good stuff. I thought, right, go out in a high, definitely go out in a high. So, and again, anything, definitely a diary, mate. I wish I'd have kept it to go back. No, just wee things that we've been talking about, and do you remember that? And it kicks things in, the laughs and all the rest, like, you know, because I always remember all the funny things, and so many of them, like, do you know what I mean? I think so many people, like, no, I'm not even into anything about me and Horst got up to in my time, like, do you know what I mean? Big Phyllis and all that, like, and Pedro talking about.
I think I've got a video. I think I've got a video of it must be Horse at Karen's 18th birthday party in Russell Street. And it was one of the first. It would be the first camcorder I had, and I can't even say what Horse was doing on this video. I still have it now. We put it onto VHS. I think it went from the camcorder onto VHS. It then maybe went onto a DVD. It'll be in here somewhere. It is, and it's hilarious. But it was. I remember him on the video. But there were about, I think we managed to fit about 80 people in that house that night. Crazy.
Aye, it was crazy, wasn't it? It's just the same, the big, as I say, like, you know. Oh, here's my dog. I can't photo a horse, and I'm not allowed to share it.
I got it wrong, mate. It wasn't her 18th. It was her 21st. Of course, right. If it had been her 18th, she wouldn't have been living with me. Sorry. I'm glad. Yeah, keeping me right, dear.
I've got a cracking photo on my phone of horse, and I'm not allowed to share it, like, you know, because when I it's a better the time when we get up to Edinburgh and we get a drink, because it's the only time I'm allowed to show it to people is when they get to see it. Like, you know what I mean? It's honestly, it's hilarious. Honestly, everybody I show it to just always in stitches. It's fantastic. He's a top boy.
We should ask people that are on here tonight. Who's going to make it up to Edinburgh? Because we said we were going to do it.
Oh, definitely. We're definitely going to do it.
It's like everything at the moment, isn't it? It's just going to take a bit of time.
Aye, well, it is, and there's just so many things today and so many people to see. Do you know what I mean? And I think Ed just saying, like, here's a date. There's Edinburgh. Go. If you're there, you're there. And if, you know what I mean? Be brilliant. Just be nice. Really nice to do it.
We'll sort something out. We'll sort something. On that note, though, with things taking time, when is it? Vicky's saying we need to sort it out, Vicky. We'll throw some dates around. We'll do. I'm sorting something out in Manchester on the 3rd of September, people. That's happened first. There you go, Hugh Davis. He just said in.
But you know, me and Hugh, there's other ones with him. I swear to mate, some of the stories go doing it for Trees when we're out there camping and all the rest of stuff. But one at a time, we now meet up Christmas Eve every year. So that's the thing. And obviously with the COVID and all the rest, there's been other couple of things in the last last year fucked us. The year before that sort of fucked. We had to date on the 21st, but we meet up on Christmas Eve every year. So we do. Definitely. That's definitely.
20th of August. Yes, that's a definitely for me as well.
Let's get it in the
Let's do it.
Me and Paddy went down to see Gogs. I think it couldn't have been last year because it was COVID the year before. He came down. His last year was at a concert. We done just sat. We made a beat and we done this. We sat and we talked. We had a crack and laugh. And it was really good. We need to do it. Definitely.
We've started something here.
Defo.
Yeah.
Defo.
Absolutely. So listen, before we move on to your last song, because we've got one more song. I'm so glad you put this one at the end as well. But how's the last sort of we're talking about taking time and things to do, and how's the last sort of 16, 17, 18 months been for you, mate?
See all that time spent away where you have to go and do your own stuff and everything else. It's not bothered me, mate. I've just went away, done my own stuff and everything else. I got to the point. At first, it was like Christmas, wasn't it? Me and Vicky used to talk about this quite a lot on our own watch about when you go home and you just get everything that was in the fridge, you just ate, didn't you? Because you were back home, and you'd be fucking eating everything. And it was like Christmas. And I was sitting in here and I was like, oh, beer and everything else. And then I thought to myself, no, I mean, I'm not the skinniest guy in the world, you might have noticed. And I thought to myself that I'm either going to come out of lockdown over 20 stone, or I can stop now and just enjoy lockdown and stop drinking and everything else. And I did. And so over lockdown, I lost 4 stone, which is quite good. I put about 8-9 pounds back on again, which is good because I've just been back onto my weights and all that again, like, do you know what I mean? And I really enjoyed it. So lockdown was, healthily for me, was really, really good. Apart from a lot of things that happened during lockdown as well, I lost my dad and all the rest of stuff, like, do you know what I mean? That isn't nice, but for me personally, we just went on a right health kick. And I've continued doing it. I've just continued doing it. So I have, and really enjoyed it. And it's well done. You see Paddy, and I love it. Like, the big man can't couch it and all the rest. Like, I love watching him, and I've loved watching his journey. And it's sort of at one point, I mean, you're sitting there going, "Oh, the big man's doing it as well." Like, and you sort of keep each other sort of going. Like, it's great to put in. You're doing brilliant, big Ian, and all the rest. And he's doing a 32-inch waist now and all that. It's amazing, like, do you know what I mean? Absolutely amazing. So it's good, mate. It was really good. So lockdown's been nothing. It's not bothered me at all. The only thing that's bothered me, I can't go like to swimming or anything else and go and see all the boys and everything, like, do you know what I mean? So that's it.
Has it become quite important for you then? Now that you've kind of lost all that weight and you're doing the health, have you kind of got a bit of a newborn appreciation for your health?
No. To be fair, mate, I was just as happy being a fat fuck, and that's God's honest truth, like, and I was just, and I go to the gym every day, but I went to the gym every day when I was fat. Yeah. So, do you know what I mean? The health that I've always done it. I've always done every single day. I do it every single day, and But I just think it's maybe a thought now about how much I drink. I go in there as if I'm some sort of alky, but it was just every weekend. I just like stopping work on a Friday and going for a pint, and then maybe
Yeah.
coming back and having a glass of beer, a vodka, or a bottle of wine, sitting. I don't know whether it is sitting with a wine. And you know what? Everybody knows that a wine turns into a bottle of wine, and then it turns into 2 bottles of wine. Is that just me? I was not. I mean, I can't 2 bottles of wine, no bother at all. Like, you know, it's just sitting there, just enjoying life. It's so it's just that. It's just cutting back. No, I don't know. It's I've not got a newfound appreciation. It's always sort of been there. The sort of healthy thing's always been in my thing, but it's just the thing is I don't want to stop it. Do you know that way? Like, no, I'll keep healthy and all that. I don't want to. I'll see if I want a fish supper, I'm having a fish supper, and if I want to drink myself into oblivion, I'll drink myself into oblivion. That's as simple as that. If I want to do it, I'll do it, because no, life's too short. You just enjoy it whilst you're here, because it doesn't last. So why not? That's it. Definitely keep on going.
Brilliant. Oh, I love it. So I've got a couple of quick questions, just because musical themes, right? Before we do your last song, what's your most memorable gig?
Oh, Proclaimers, Scarborough.
It's Scarborough.
In Scarborough, with Addison. Me, Stu, Cal Tranter, Graham Addison, the 2 Addisons, Cal Tranter and me. And it wasn't that long ago, like, do you know what I mean? And Big Stu stoning, dancing in front of people, making a right arse so, and you could see people were there that really wanted to see the Proclaimers, and he ruined it. A really memorable gig. It was brilliant, honestly. He just makes me laugh. That's what he did.
Oh, brilliant.
He just ruined
it. Two things about Glasgow. What would you say is the best thing about Glasgow?
Oh, the number 1 football team, mate. Glasgow Celtic. No, I'll tell you the best thing about Glasgow is just it is definitely the people. Everybody always say it's definitely the people. Anywhere you go, and people always say, no, if you don't want to go to Glasgow if you're English and all that. If you go to Glasgow and you're English and you get into the right bars and all the rest of the stuff, you'll never buy a pint. People buy, all right, you think of it. People buy you pints. People be really chatty. They're just the nicest people in the world. Absolutely nicest. Best boozers in the world as well. All the pubs and everything else, absolutely brilliant. The style, everything. If you got new Finiston's getting right trendy, like, do you know what I mean? That's a right gin joint up there now, like, on Finiston and everything. As you got towards there, it's just brilliant. It is the night out, as far as I'm concerned.
I've not been out for a little while, but it's
20th of August. Hammy, we're going.
20th of August. Hammy's jumped in there. I think he was. That was on your football comment. So
You've only
talking.
One, your team's deep.
So that was my next question on Glasgow. Worst thing about Glasgow.
I can't think anything that's really bad about Glasgow. Like, do you know what I mean? That's why I wanted to come back, mate. There's nothing bad about Glasgow. And people can say whatever they want. There's nothing bad about it. And even, you know what I mean? We talk about everybody goes over to Sailor Rangers. It's only the idiots that cause all the crap. No, I mean, some of my best mates are Orange supporters, and it's brilliant. That rivalry's brilliant and everything else. The football's brilliant. So I can't think of anything that's bad about Glasgow, and that's why I wanted to come back here. I've always wanted to come back home and be back in Glasgow. That's as simple as that. It's
I love it. So you're back home in Glasgow, but we've got time for one more story, haven't we? Because we've got, well, maybe one or two. I don't know. It depends. But we've got certainly time for one last song, which is Bruno Mars's Uptown Funk. Yeah. And I think it might be maybe a detachment story in here.
Well, it is. So it's a cracking tune on it. I like Bruno Mars. I had a ticket to his concert, and my daughter stole it, and she went with the missus instead, which is a bit miffed about that. Like, do you know what I mean? I ended up at Robbie Williams. I fell asleep, by the way. I was at a Robbie Williams concert in Edinburgh, and I fell asleep. And she was black up fronted. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm tired. I had a couple of beers." She went, "The concert started." I went, "No. What's the best time you fucking fall asleep then, isn't it?" Because and everybody's all sitting, he's sleeping, that guy's sleeping and all that. So anyway, I swapped onto Bruno Mars, brilliant, a really good job. Haven't been at, but it just reminds me of we went to Las Vegas to do the red flag. Have you know Nellis Air Force Base? Where they get Area 51 and that, so it's big Air Force Base, and they do it's the premium air defence exercise in the world, red flag. And I was actually in Abu Dhabi at the time, and I got a phone call. Spotter Harris, if you ever met Spotter Harris, the squad leader, cracking guy, brilliant, top lad. And he'd phoned me and he says, look, he says, go to Las Vegas, he says, I need you there as the adjutant. You're going to be the warrant officer adjutant, and you're going to be the lead surveillance director. And that. So you're going to be lead for surveillance, and you're going to be the adjutant. He says, because I was his warrant officer. I went, aye. He says, but the thing is, it's when you get back, there you go, definitely hammy. And he says, it's only 4 weeks after you're back for Abu Dhabi. Like, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, but I was out there for 3 months, like, in Dhaka. So, and we go to Dubai, and some of the stories I've got about that place as well, mate, fucking brilliant, honestly. Waking up to tap a hotel at a pool, with a boat like Grey Goose, sparkled. Oh, brilliant. But anyway, he says, I need you out there. He says, no, for the adjutant to take care of discipline and all that. And no, it's like putting a fat kid into a sweetie shop in it and saying, don't eat any sweeties. You're going to Las Vegas. It's like putting a fat Kinnaird in the entertainment capital of the world. And I'm like, all right. Aye, all right. Oh, fuck me. And I swear, oh Jesus Christ. The first night madness, gear in, shit shaving a shampoo, straight out in town. And it was Trig Batty and Billy Bilcliff. That was
your very own hangover squad. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Wee Billy never made it to a Monday's work. Never made it to one Monday's work. And who else was out there at the time? Sparky James. Oh, hello. So Sparkles was there as well. Like, do you know what I mean? He was there with somebody else. So that was our crew, the 4 years. Yeah. And we just did the time of their life. And then the big story is we're out one night, and it was Celtic Rangers. The first time we played Rangers after they had went bust and all that first game. And I says, I'm watching it tomorrow morning. And he says, you going out tonight? And I'm like, no, I'm not going out tonight. I says, I'm going to watch football tomorrow morning because it was Super Bowl day as well. I said, I'm going to just go and watch Celtic Rangers. I says, I'm desperate to see it, and I'm not going anywhere else. That's it. So it was about 3 a.m. So I'm just sitting in my room, and I thought, right, I'm going to order a wee pizza and just chill out and all that, like, not much about it to tell. And the phone goes, and I'm like, oh, it's wee Billy. He says, you're coming up to the Spiral Tower or whatever it is. And I went, mate, I'm not going. I said, I don't want you to go up there anyway. I'm scared of heights. And I says, and I want to go to see it. I'm not missing the Celtic Rangers much more. He says, it's 2 for 1 on cocktails. I'll be there in 10, mate. Into this big tower, shite myself. It's got a revolving tower, shite myself. I hated it about it. Highest building in days. And we're up there, we get the 2 for 1s. And then we end up in some other casinos and all the rest of the stuff, bluttered. But I still got up at 3 o'clock. Gets guys, a wee officer called Hobble, Mark Hobson. He's sitting outside in the front, you know, so me and Billy goes out. I went, Hobble, you all right? And he went, he's from Edinburgh, he's a great guy. And he says, I told you I was coming to watch the Celtic Rangers match with you. He's a wee Hy-Vee supporter. And he goes into his pocket and he just pulls out a wad like that. Guess who won? And he's waving his wad about. And I was like, come on then, get in a taxi. So we went in a few hotels, couldn't find it. And then we find this hotel, and I'm looking up at a casino, and I'm looking, it's got all these screens. And I'm going, for fuck's sake, where's the Celtic game? And I must be on somewhere. And I just looked straight to the left, and there's 2 guys with Celtic tops on. I went, Celtic, they went top left-hand screen. I went, get the beers in. So this is like 3 a.m, like, you know. And the 2 guys are Canadian. And I says, what are you drinking, lads? He went, are you drinking? I went, fucking right, we are. Both starts on the beer. And then, because obviously we're getting quite rowdy, there's a Birmingham guy there. He was there watching the Villa game, like, you know. And him and his wife. So they sort of creep into the company. So we get the 2 Canadians, got Hobble who's sitting there steaming, and he's every second word he swears more than me. Big, and he want to kill people and all that. And there's Billy. There's this Birmingham guy who's standing on his seat, pushing his legs up, going, oh, and me all singing, going, oh, and we're all singing, oh. And we had an Indian guy with us, and I don't mean an Asian Indian guy, I'm talking like Custer's Last Stand Indian guy, like, do you know what I mean, Native American guy, 6'4", he was like something like the one flew over a cuckoo's nest, him. And we just get this group of people in Vegas sitting there, and we sat there for 3 o'clock, and then about 8, 9 o'clock, people were all coming in to start the betting on the Super Bowl and everything. We were all sitting there singing, and we were absolutely buttered. I finished it, I think, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Which you're thinking to yourself, that's disgraceful. Can you have 12 hours fucking drinking? Wee Billy went. went
football
to
match ever lasted that long?
wee Billy went to 2 the next morning. 23 hours on the piss.
Oh,
He never made it to work on a Monday. 23 hours on the piss, by the way. I swear to God. And that was me, one of my 4-day hangovers, and he was still. I was like, oh mate, that's 23 hours on the piss. Because he done all the football, then we went out and get pissed, doing other stuff, beer pong, and then went to the Super Bowl with all the officers cadre.
Yeah.
Mental, but it was crazy. It was just crazy. It was 3 weeks, 3 weeks of just absolute carnage, and I was supposed to be the adjutant stopping everybody else there. Has anybody seen the adjutant? The last time you seen him, he was down in that casino playing beer pong. Has anybody seen the adjutant? I think the last time you seen him, he was doing all Vegas, slicking in dollar bills places and all that. Brilliant. It was brilliant. It was a good time.
Fantastic.
Aye, it was.
Listen, two very quick questions left. Thank you for sharing all of these stories. So many people have mate, you're gonna have to just check the comments when we're finished. Loads of comments, and you've seen who's joined us tonight. I've had an absolute blast. Listen, I'm going to ask you a question that everybody must have on their lips, right? You make people laugh. You've always got a story and always got like a good word to say about people. I wouldn't have asked you this when I met you at 18, but where does that smile come from?
What smile?
That smile. What's behind that smile?
What do you mean?
What inspires Davy Kinnaird?
What makes me smile?
Yeah,
everything. There's nothing. Do you know, I'm one of them. Actually, I'm no very good in this new world. Do you know what I mean? I'm don't get me wrong. Do you know I'll fit in and everything else, but I can laugh at anything. You can send me a racist joke, a sexist joke. You can send me a joke about me being fat. You can send me anything at all, and I will laugh at it. Nothing gets, and I think that's just nothing gets used to. Everything has to be a laugh. You need to get a laugh. You need to, that's everything I do. I look for a laugh. It's as simple as that, and you just keep on going, and you get the most laughs when you've had a couple of beers. As I say, you don't. No story ever starts with, do you remember that time we had tea and cake, and then it doesn't start like that. It starts with, remember that time we drank 15 pints of Zambuca, and then you go, and you go like, no. And that's it, mate. That's it. It has to start with a beer, and
oh, brilliant. Well, do you know what? I think that is some fantastic advice to leave people on, though, isn't it? It's like, and I think especially now, what better advice than to find a laugh in everything that we're doing? It's, to smile. It gets us through. It's good medicine, right?
That's exactly what it is, Bill. And it's just people stop taking difference. Anybody can be offended at anything. Do you know what I mean? Where does it stop? Just see if you're offended, fucking turn it off. No, if you're offended, turn it off. If you don't like it, don't look at it. Do you know? If you don't like the sound, don't listen to it. Put your fingers in your ear and go la 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 la. Don't do it. Just that's it. Walk away. Do you know what I mean? You'll never get. No, they're saying we need to get rid of racism. You're not going to get rid of it. It's an unfortunate thing. There's going to be racists in the world. It seems there's going to be murderers and everything else. What you need to do is educate people that are coming through. And that's it. You won't get rid of them now, but what you can do is educate the people that are coming through now. In Glasgow, a big thing in Glasgow, take down the names of all the streets because they're named after the guys that made lots of money out of the slave trade. Well, don't take them down, but here's a good idea. Leave them up there, but underneath the streets, put the name, the first black policeman that policed in Glasgow, the first black nurse in Glasgow, and so that when kids walk past and say, why is this got two names of street? We'll see the guy at the top there, it was named as, it was a slave trade, and that's what happened in the days. But see the person underneath it, that shows you how far this country's fucking came in the years that we've been on. Because there's no better place in Scotland. Immigrants come to Scotland and they are, do you know, they're so welcomed. And again, that's what I say about Glasgow, the people in it, they're so welcomed. Wherever you come to,
made the place it is.
Red, green, it doesn't matter what you're, just, come on. Just come and have a pint with us and have a laugh and move on. And that's it. So, that's me. Educate people as they're coming through. Because you can't get rid of the racists in it. So, no. There we go.
Very wise words. I'm going to give the last word tonight, Davey, to look, Lucy said, you've made her week. 2 big love hearts. There you go. I've had an absolute blast tonight. Loved it. I loved just sitting. And you're absolutely right. And it's been, do you know what? That's been nice to kind of see. Hammy, we'll catch up with you and we'll make that happen and we'll have a couple of pints. That would be brilliant.
Yeah.
And we'll sort something out. We promise, right? We'll get it sorted.
Definitely.
Thank you very much for coming on. On behalf of everybody, like I say, check the comments out. Davey, stay in the wee virtual green room and we'll say goodbye to everybody else. Any final words do you want to say to everybody,
No,
Davey?
just hello to everybody, and it's I hopefully see you all soon for a beer. Yeah, keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking. And tune in. As we said earlier on, for the first lady that served with us all in the RAF, coming on the JFDI podcast, Lisa Venables, very, very soon. Tonight, it's been about Davy Kinnaird. Kinners, thank you. Everybody that's tuned in, thank you very much indeed. And we'll see you next week.
Catch you later, bud.